HL and SL as well. In Group 2, for languages, we are offering French, Spanish at B level at HL and SL, and as well as ab initio. So ab initio is a subject which a student can take because at the beginning level, whereas the Bs could be taken if the student has already learned the language for a few years. Hindi is also offered at B, HL and SL. For Group 3, we offer history, business management, economics, psychology at HL and SL, whereas the environmental systems and societies, being an interdisciplinary subject, the student could choose it in Group 3 or in Group 4. Whereas in Group 4, we are offering biology, chemistry and physics at HL and SL. The students need to pick one from each group. Group 5, mathematics. So, as just spoken, we are offering the subject at all 3 levels, being HL, SL and studies. And Group 6, theatre and visual art at HL and SL. So, how does the diploma look like? Every subject has a score from 7 to 1. So it rounds up to, or it sums up to 42 points. Of course, with the core added to it is 3 points, so it's a diploma to diploma out of 45. Most important is even after achieving 42, it's very important that the diploma would be still incomplete if we are not completing the requirements for CAS. We need to have a passing grade for TOK and extended essay. The minimum requirement would be 24 with at least 12 points for HL, 9 points for SL, and not more than 1 2s. So why do the diploma? Of course, it just looks good. Most of the universities do recognize it, and it gives a breadth for the students to learn, for a better understanding. It gives students a vision of, or maturity, I would say, to move on to the next level of his future goals. And of course, it's also recognized by the Association of India. So yeah, it looks better. Some of the quotes as to how universities look at for a full diploma. Most important, while the student is still doing the IB diploma at OIS, we still would want the student to finish the OIS high school diploma, which is in conjunction with the IB diploma. So it's more important for us that the student also achieves the OIS high school diploma, because we still believe in continuum learning. We still believe that the student would be doing the best round the year while completing the high school diploma as well. And moreover, the universities are also going to be looking for a student who's also complete the high school diploma, because most of the universities would be also weighing this high school diploma above the IB diploma.
I just want to talk quickly about the idea of academic integrity. Again, Neil spoke about that, so we'll keep it a little bit short here. We really take it very seriously, the idea of academic integrity, doing the right thing whether someone's looking or not. Having said that, we do look. There's quite a range of academic malpractice that can occur, all the way from a student hands in a piece of work and they've cited 25 out of 26 of their sources. They forgot the 26th. Serious, because they shouldn't have forgotten it, but it's probably a relatively minor thing. We would remind them, we would show them how to do it, or if they cited incorrectly. At the other end, probably it's way over here, you have people cheating on a test, paying somebody else to do their work for them, etc. Most universities, most decent universities around the world have a zero tolerance. You mess up on your academic integrity, you are out. We're a school, and we believe that people aren't born knowing how to cite using MLA, so we will spend considerable time and energy trying to educate students in how to be academically honest. And depending on the severity of the transgression, we will have consequences. We probably won't have a you mess up one time and out the front door, because we're about education. So we will take the opportunity to educate the student and the parents. You will be called in, and we will let you know how serious it is, and we will let you know what might happen should this occur again. Very rarely do students do it again. Usually it's just rattle their cage and they go, oh, but at my last school, they didn't care if we copied and pasted and put it onto our poster. We do. Okay, so we're sort of bridging that area between anything goes and the universities that one strike and you're out. We're trying very much to help students understand and be equipped with the skills to get through that. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, as we work with the students, it's very important for us to help students understand that shortcut is not something that is going to be a way to success. And I think if we work together as a team, I think we'll be there in some time. Yeah. I would like to call upon Ms. Stephanie for the college counseling part of the presentation.
So quick question, please. It wasn't clear really how the high school diploma was different from the IB diploma. Is that something we need to understand better?
The high school diploma, we have graduation requirements 9 through 12. So, for example, we would expect that every student does English and passes it for all 4 years. If they didn't, they would not qualify for to graduate from OIS with the diploma. And then there are other graduation requirements, how many maths credits they need, how many humanities credits they need, and it adds up. And so we keep, these guys in particular, keep an eye on students' credits, and if they need to recover a credit because they did mess up on a subject last year, we have ways that we can recover credit through summer schools and things like that. So generally speaking, if you are meeting IB's requirement, then you would be absolutely fine with the high school. But the US universities pretty well won't consider you if you don't have one. Like that's a requirement for US universities.
Just a question on subject choice. Do you offer computer science as well?
It's funny you should ask that. I hope you saw that we did say here's what we currently offer. That's what we're offering this year. We are neck deep in deciding what IB subjects to add to the mix, one of which is computer science. Absolutely no promises at this stage, but it is in the mix. And you would certainly know, I think our timeline for making that decision is probably within the next couple of weeks, up to a month. And then we will know precisely what we are offering for next year. Clearly, if only one person chooses a subject, we can't keep that section open and all that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, we're a big school, and we would hope that we can offer quite a nice broad offering.
Just one more question. If we choose the subjects now, can the child later, if she or he doesn't want to do it, can he change it later on?
We'll come to that. Generally speaking, we try to do as much education before the fact so that we are choosing the best subjects at the time. But the fact is, sometimes kid goes away on big summer break and they discover because they've visited an uncle, they discover, oh my God, I really, really, really am now interested in this. So there are times where we can move. Also, the first couple of weeks of the school year, there's ability to swap subjects. We have to control it a little bit because we build our schedule based on everybody's selection. So we can't just sort of let, broad scale, but if you've got a good argument, and we will save students, like if a kid is drowning in a subject, we will save them far beyond our cut-off deadline for changing subjects. So we try to do the best we can. There will always be a few students who want to tweak a few things. Sometimes it's not possible because of the scheduling or a class is full or things like that. So try and get it as accurate as you can first time round. But of course, the sooner you can let us know, the more likely we can accommodate.
Olga and I also meet with the grade 10 kids. So we meet with our current grade 10s and we'll meet with you guys once you choose us and get in. And we talk about the requirements for universities, because some universities, what you take in 11 and 12 matter. For a lot of them it doesn't matter, but for some of them it does matter. So Olga and I meet with the grade 10s before they choose their courses and kind of steer them in the right direction, just so that you're not on your own.
If we can just hold questions until Tiffany and Olga have got through, because a lot of your questions may be answered, and then there is a slide that says nothing on it but questions, and we will stand and answer your questions as long as you need.
The other thing I just wanted to say about the U.S. diploma is, the plan is for the kids to pursue the IB diploma, but sometimes when the exams actually happen at the end of grade 12, they fall short of the requirements, right? Because it's quite strict. And so most of the kids will graduate with an OIS diploma, which is accepted by most universities. So not just U.S. universities. So again, the plan is to get both. But if you get the OIS diploma, it's kind of a nice plan B to have because we are accredited. It's not any diploma that they will take, but because we're an accredited school by a North American organization, it's recognized worldwide. So I think it's kind of a nice safety net, just in case the exams don't go the way that we expected, because it happens sometimes. I just wanted a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the counseling program here, the university counseling program, because I'm really excited and proud of it. Olga and I work together in an office right below here, and we're really lucky because we get to spend, right now we're in the midst of grade 12 applications, and we get to spend about 20 minutes every 6 days individually with each kid. So it might not sound like a lot, but it actually is. When I talk to the other counselors here in Mumbai, they're quite jealous of our schedule because we get so much uninterrupted time with the kids. And that doesn't even include the full group sessions that we're allowed to hold, because we have a homeroom period where we can pull the kids. So we know our kids really, really well, and we work really hard to find the right matches for them university-wide. There are outside counselors, and some of them are very good. I'm not going to speak ill of them, but I have to say that the way that we get to know the kids is really it's very personal. It's very one-on-one. We have kids that come into our office and just hang out, or just sort of talk about if they're having a bad day, which to me is the highest regard, right? I mean, the fact that they come to us when they need something, I think is huge. And I feel really honored that they choose to come to our office because it's a safe, warm, welcoming place to be. We have cushions on the floor and work area, and sometimes we have candy. Not saying that's why they come, just saying we have candy. It's really important for Olga and I to find the best fit universities for the kids. We put the kids in the driver's seat. This is their experience. This is their journey. We're here in case they make a wrong turn or in case they get lost, but really we work with the kids. It doesn't mean that you're not welcome to give us a call or we won't meet with you, but from our perspective, this is their journey now. They're becoming adults, and the next couple of years really are exciting, and we want them to be in control. That's huge. We talk a lot about what goes into choosing a university and what criteria they should be looking at when they're choosing. So we talk about location. A lot of our kids do end up applying to the United States. About half of them end up going to the US because that's the right fit for them. With changing politics and other things, I don't know if that's going to continue. I voted, so I'm doing my best, but who knows what's going to happen in November. So we also have a ton of kids that apply to Canada and Australia. Just saying that because some of my bosses are from Australia. We have a lot of kids that apply to the UK and Hong Kong, Singapore, and then we have a bunch of kids, I would say about 20% stayed in India last year. So we really do try to find the best fit for the kids because it's really important that they're happy in the next 5-6 years. That's a big deal for us. So we talk about location, we talk about price, we talk about programs, because there's a lot of really cool programs out there now that I wish were around a few years ago when I was going through this. We talk about duration, right? Because some of the programs are 2 years, some are 3 years, some are 4 years. We talk about lots of different criteria that the kids should look at, and we train the kids to make these decisions on their own. Again, we're there for support, but we train them, and I loved it because last week we had our parent meetings, and the parents came in to meet with us, and they kept asking us questions, and the kids were sitting right there, and most of the time they would answer the question because the kids knew about scholarships, and they knew why Canada was a good fit for them, and and that's the best thing for us, is to see that empowerment. Like, that to me is what this whole thing has been about. So best fit's a big thing for us. We have a ton of universities come and visit. It's mid-October right now. So far this school year, we've had 146 universities visit. They come at lunch. They're here for about an hour. And interested kids can come up and talk to the university reps. We train the kids on how to interact with adults that they don't know, what questions to ask. It's really cool to watch them in the beginning of August kind of shuffle forward, and then by the end of the month they're very confidently walking forward with their hand extended, and they're asking good questions, and OIS has a really good reputation worldwide as far as that's concerned. We also have a ton of master classes come, so professors come to visit OIS. So far this year we've had professors come and talk about what liberal arts is. We've had, I made some notes, we've had portfolio conversations. We've had people come and talk about business and what it's like to major in the human sciences, the natural sciences, engineering. And then between now and winter break, we have more professors coming for international relations, human rights. We have an engineering professor coming to talk about prosthetic hands, which I'm kind of excited about. We have an aeronautical engineer coming, and we have a few law professors coming, and then another professor coming to talk about pharmacy. So we have a lot of professors from all over the world, Australia, UK, US, come and talk to our kids about what the upcoming professions are, and they're pretty well attended. A lot of them are also open to our parents to attend, because we think it's good for you to kind of learn a little bit about these upcoming majors. Again, this slide is just sort of talking a little bit about how much the kids are responsible for, and then what we provide. And the reason why this is important to me is because again, the kids are in the driver's seat, but it's also sort of this thing where we need to make sure that we offer, as a school, the best counseling that we possibly can. We want to make it so that you don't need to use outside counselors, because, again, they have one way of doing things, and we have a very different way of doing things. Again, not that one is better than the other, but we just really feel like the way that we do it gives you everything that you need, because we have access to a lot more information than the outside counselors do. We have the teachers right down the hallway, so if you need a recommendation letter, we can go down and remind them. We have access to their predicted scores. We have access to their transcripts. We have all of that kind of stuff. And so we really do try to provide you with everything that you need right here in this building. When you choose us, because that's going to happen, all I would ask is that you bring your transcripts from your previous school, because it will help when you apply to your universities. So make sure that you get those. You can get them after you leave, but it's a real pain. So as you're waving goodbye, coming here next year, bring these with you. That's it. Thank you.
Just want to talk about next steps for you guys. So today is introduction to OIS and IB. For those who are interested, you will submit application form by Friday 28th of October. By invitation, you will be invited to do some written entrance assessments on one of those 4 dates. Depending on how you go with those, then you may be invited for face-to-face interviews, and successful applicants will make their course selections along with our current grade 10s late January or early February. So they're the approximate dates. Did you want to talk about this?
Very quickly.
Okay.
So, Sandy just talked about the admission process. How is all of this going to be tracked? All of this is going to be tracked on an online system which is called Open Apply. So anytime from now to next week, as Tiffany said, you will choose our school, and when you make that decision, you have to pay some application fees or registration fees. Once you do that, you will get an ID, a login ID and a password to Open Apply, which is going to be your admission tracking system from then on. So all the documents, what it will show you is a checklist. The checklist will have a list of all the documents, the entire process that needs to be followed. So it's going to be your one-stop portal for tracking the entire admission process. Any documents that you need to submit as a part of admission would be submitted online onto the system. So as you step out today from after the session and you want to go ahead with the admission process, our admission officers are going to be right there and they will guide you on how this process would work. Otherwise, at every step, you would be sent emails with IDs and passwords and the next step from the system. Yeah, thank you.
We're up to question time. All right, I saw that hand. What time is it?
It is 10 after 10.
Okay, yes.
So the standard question is going to be how you fit biology with physics and chemistry given the sorting of the subjects if you intend to continue for medicine within this system, within the local system.
Honestly,
Right, so
if you're wanting to do medicine, IB is probably not for
Not
you,
the-
I'd have to say. Sorry, medicine in India.
India.
Because India is the only place in the world that requires 3 sciences for entrance. And we would be doing the IB a disservice if you completely lose the holistic, balanced nature of the program. I have personally taught many, many, many students who have gone on to become fantastic doctors. And you can do it in many places in the world, but if your particular institution that you are planning to go to for medicine in India, then IB, OIS, probably not for you.
Connected with that, of course, is the interface between IB and the local colleges for a bachelor's in science or...
Very well. There's a whole, please jump in, counsellors, if I botch this up. But the IB has equivalence scales which are well known to good universities in India. So, what a 7 represents, etc., etc. Also, the individual subjects. There's, what's it called?
So it's the new arrangement. It's like, it's called the percentage conversion scale by the IB, which is given to the universities for India. So as I just said in my previous slide, that IB is being welcomed with open arms with all the universities in India as well, because it's been recognized by the Association of India. So all the universities under that do know what the IB program is. And
So there's a predicted score on which the admissions
yes, so
happen,
the
right?
applications are generally based on the predicted scores, because the applications are way ahead before the admission process starts for India. So the predicteds are the scores that are sent, and then the IB also has helped every school to give a conversion scale, which is understood by every admission officer at every university in India, who then understands the application done from the IB schools.
And the conversion from predicted scores to the final scores, that's been reasonably...
Our
Yeah,
teachers are
absolutely.
really good
So
at that,
far,
actually.
the students who have applied from our school or any schools from Mumbai with an IB program, we've heard good things about it.
Yes. Sorry, yes.
So, yeah, thank you. I want to ask if this scoring system that we have in 4 with IBU assess the kids through the 2 years, right? So what percentage of it is based just on what they give in their
Good
exams?
question. We didn't really. In case you didn't hear that, it's the question was about what percentage is the exam and what percent. There is no simple answer to that. Group 1 is 50% exam, 50% other things, right? So, for example, in language and literature, you have to do an oral, which is recorded and graded, and a sample is sent to examiners, but that's done internally. You have written tasks, which you write during the year, which all get sent away and get graded by an external examiner, and then you have 2 exam papers at the end. So for group 1, it's 50% is done internally and 50% is done via exam at the end. I think the highest, correct me if I'm wrong, the highest percentage on exam is group 5, the mathematics. It's 80% is on either 2 or 3 papers, depending on whether you're standard or higher level, 80% on that, 20% on an internal exploration project that you do. If you do something like theatre, there is no exam on theatre, but do not equate that with a lack of rigour. There will be all sorts of things that you will have to produce to be sent away to the IB. So each group tends to have the same approach to that breakdown, approximate breakdown of internal versus external.
Is there a group 3 in which there is business management, economics, history, and psychology? That's a prerequisite or one of the subjects needs to be done at the school level for getting admission?
I'm not quite sure I'm understanding your question. You have to do a group 3 in order to get your IB.
OIS graduation requires 24 credits, right? Now in school, suppose the child is not having social science, is 19.
It would be surprising that they haven't done any social studies, but
yeah, they could still look for business management.
No, but it's not there right now. It is in 9 tests now.
It's perfectly fine. That's the whole
No,
beauty.
why my point
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
even you're not really anyway completing that 24 credits.
No,
we don't hold anything against the kid. If a kid
yes.
hasn't, in 9 and 10, hasn't done, let's say we said for argument's sake you have to do 4 years of humanities, and a kid comes to us having done 0, and they've only got 2 years with us, we are not going to hold our graduation requirements against that student. There will be opportunities for us to waive some of our graduation requirements based
for the
on the
external
student's background.
definitely.
How much does math and science hold in the overall percentage of the kid after 2 years? Like, because my kid is not interested in math. So
Your kid, if they choose to do the IB, has to do maths,
Yeah,
but they could do mathematical studies, which would probably.
no, how much importance would it hold on her total performance at the end of 2 years?
Each subject is worth 7 points, regardless of whether it's higher or standard, regardless of whether it's their strength subject or their challenge subject. Every subject is graded out of 7.
Computer science, I'm surprised why you would not have computer science as one of the subjects. If my daughter, she wants to pursue computer science, should we apply or just ways of thinking?
As I said before, I think we're in the process of looking at a bunch of new subjects, and the decision will be made in the next couple of weeks.
I could list at least a dozen subjects that I would love to have here. But if you come here, you've got to pay for it because it's a very expensive process. And also with a finite number of students in our graduating class, if we offer too many subjects, then the size of each class becomes too small. And that's when you lose the dynamic. Because research shows us that kids learn this much from the teacher, that much from each other, and about that much from looking at a computer screen.
Excuse me, how many students do you take for the IB diploma?
The capacity would
Yeah,
be,
capacity.
This year we have a batch of 62 in grade 12 and 18.
so because we're a new school and we've been, well, we're not a new school, but we've been growing, right? And so what capacity would be in the vicinity of 120. Would, you know, with the number of teachers we've got, the number of classes we've got, the number of classrooms we've got. So, because not all of our classes at the moment are full potentially, so you can add some.
So for 2016, what is the
2017, approximately 120. It's we the
so currently
62.
Oh.
We have 62 in grade.
Pardon?
We have 62 in grade 12 and we have around 88, 89.
See, the natural process of growing a school is like this. And we're only 8 years old, so we're only about that far up. I mean, we could fill the place tomorrow, but we'd have to get lots and lots of teachers really, really quickly. And the way we want to grow it is not as quick as the way that would bring us lots and lots and lots of profit, because that's not what we're after. We're very, very conscious of the quality and maintaining the quality. That's why we're growing slowly.
Is it IB means going abroad? Like the ma'am said, like, you know, only 20% of them stayed back in India. So is IB diploma means going abroad or something that?
No.
No, the IB is very well regarded in India, and they're actually, we're finding it's getting easier and easier in India as more universities become familiar with it. And they actually, we got kind of excited because they're actually opening it up so that they're noticing that you don't, the individual courses are pretty exciting. So they're actually, they're looking at individual courses and accepting them. So no, it doesn't mean that you have to go overseas at all. I think it used to. I think, 10 years ago, they didn't really understand it here, but now we haven't had any problems in our office with universities not understanding it here in India.
Or is there something that's not, we are not like Indian doesn't have that sort of universities or what?
Yeah, so that is an interesting.
So that's one point, like, the probability of students doing the IB and then coming back to the Indian system, it's a bit of challenge for the students to come back to the traditional learning, because the student has learned so much beyond traditional learning that it is a challenge for them. So that's why the IB looks good on the international.
But there's a bunch of universities here, like we have kids at ISME this year, and they're loving it. Ashoka up north is fantastic. Like the kids have been really happy there. Flames, right? Parsons. So there's definitely universities that are opening up here that the kids have been happy at, but there's been some that, like, I think this is what you're asking, and if I'm wrong, but some of the more traditional Indian universities, the kids struggle because the teaching is so different. They're not used to going and just kind of getting a syllabus and saying, learn this, there's a test in a month. Like, that's not what we do here. And then they go to a traditional school, a university, and I think that they struggle, because that's not what we're training them to do here. So you do have to think about that when you're choosing where you want your kids to go for 11 and 12, is what kind of learning do you want them to get? And we're not a perfect fit for all of that, for sure.
I just want to add one thing. I feel a lot of Indian universities and students find themselves better equipped to handle if they are doing IB. Because my daughter did IB and she's in Ashoka University.
Yes.
So it's fantastic if you do IB, and a lot of my friends' children who did IB, they're doing architecture in India. I think IB course opens up for a research program. It's a beautiful
It
program.
does.
It really helps.
Yes, it does, and it's happy to see and hear that there are many universities who are sharing the same philosophy of
There are
the
lots
right
coming
now.
up.
Yeah, and they're starting to
And they're going to be more
It's
than what
exciting.
we are.
Okay, there.
Yeah. So I have two questions mainly for Stephanie here. Do
do IB kids have to take separately AP exams?
Please
Or
no.
if they do score well in their high level or something, they do get it?
Please no, do not take AP and IB, choose one or the other. I mean, there's only so much time in the day, and if you can pass a higher level IB course, you've proven that you can handle that level of course. So it doesn't do anything to add AP to the mix. I'm not saying that you can't choose AP over IB, like choose whichever one you want, but choose one or the other for your kids' sake. Even if you don't come here, please choose one or the other. When universities look at it, they're just looking to see if kids can handle that level, and the HL courses or AP, either one proves it. You're just being redundant if you do both.
Can substitute for the AP credits.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
and lots
Yes.
of universities, it's up to the individual university, but lots of universities give what's called advanced placement or acceleration through their courses depending on your IB score, your diploma score, and but more importantly, if you're trying to do something where physics is important and you've got a 7 at high level physics, they may let you just jump straight into second year physics, for example. So it very much depends. I think when we put that slide up from Bryn Mawr and from Harvard, they did talk about even 32 points at Bryn Mawr, they would bump them directly into year 2.
My second question is, do you have any tie-ups with, say, 20 odd universities in the US for the summer program, post after 11, maybe a 6-week or 8-week a residential short course there in some of the universities where kids get some exposure?
Yeah, so on the 5th floor, where Sandy's office is, we have a display of summer programs. Some of are in the U.S., some are in India. I mean, any kind of information that we get, and then we also have a website here that we use, Edmodo program, and on there's a folder, and every time I get information on summer programs, I put them there. The other thing is that when kids do summer programs, a lot of times when we come back at the end of the summer, we ask the kids to present so that the next year's kids can see what's available out there. And then about 3 weeks ago, we had 9 schools from Switzerland come in, and they do summer programs, and so the kids could come and the parents were invited in also to talk about going to Switzerland. I asked if I could chaperone, but they said no. So I mean, we definitely encourage that, especially for the younger kids. For 9 and 10s, I think that summer programs are fantastic. By the time they get to 11th grade, I'm kind of pushing them in the direction of doing internships or volunteering somewhere. But I do think that it's good to go and see some universities. You know, if you think you really want to go to a certain school, it's good to go and spend a week there and see if you actually really like the setting or not.
Helps in you.
Yeah.
Also, this year, our grade 10s, as part of their residential trips, there's trips to the US, to the UK, to Europe, am I correct, Tony, and in India itself, so students can select which of these, and then they get exposure to various universities. So we do what we can, but obviously we can't take everybody all around the world, so students can choose. Yes?
What are the fees for the program? How do we know about it?
Oh, that's not the fee structure.
So there's an admissions desk right outside, and there are a lot of details there, including the fee structure and the fee policy.
And it's also posted on the online portal that I spoke about, both the fee policy and the fee structure.
So is there any preference during the admission for HL versus SL course if the scores are equal? If you're talking about a particular university?
It depends entirely. If you were going to be a journalist, and you're going to a school of journalism, they're going to care more about your English grade than they are about your maths grade or your science grade, potentially. So they might say, hey, I would like to see that at higher level. All right, so it very much depends on what country you're in, what university you're in, what course you're in, how they do that. And that is the prerogative of each individual university. I think up there.
How smooth is the transition from an Indian board to the IB board? Like my we've done her entire schooling in an Indian board. She's in 10th right now. So how easy or how difficult is it for the children to transfer from the Indian board to the IB board? And what kind of assistance do you provide to help them
them to an orientation to just have an understanding of how every subject would look like in a classroom. We do have some common sessions to help them understand the culture of OIS as well as the expectations of OIS. And I think within a week, just because it's a mix in the classroom with the homeroom students as well as the new students, it just helps. It just happens. We don't have to make extra effort for that.
It's a very caring faculty here, and students coming from other schools, that's what they notice first. They notice that they can go and ask anything and there is no silly question. And so I think that support is really important. What's the time? Perhaps what we could do is let people go, and anyone who has questions can remain behind and come down and ask us.
Excuse me?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Can I just say thank you very much for coming? Can I please leave you with one last reminder, and that is whether you come to this school or to another school, please remember that in 10 years' time, nobody's going to care what your child got for the IB diploma, nobody's going to care where they went to university, but they're going to care what sort of person they are. Let's please keep our eye on the goal. I know most of the conversation has been about universities and exams and things like that. Let's keep our eye on the main goal, please. Thank you for coming.